Max Foster, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Nice to have you here. First of all, you're here in Almedalen. Why?
Wow. It's a fantastic event, isn't it? Everyone who's anyone seems to come to Almedalen. So if you want to go to Sweden and meet people, this is the place to come.
Yeah.
We've got an event tonight where we're discussing Brexit in the cathedral up the road. So we're going to be speaking to some thinkers there and the British ambassador to Sweden and one of Tony Blair's key advisors on Brexit, who happens to be Swedish.
Oh,
so
nice.
It's going to be very interesting.
Do you have a time?
Yes, 8 o'clock, I believe.
8 o'clock?
Yes, be there.
Okay, good.
It's going to be good.
And you were talking about it just before, but what do you think about this, that the government is like walking around on the street?
I know. Well, it wouldn't happen in the UK or in America just because there'd be so much concern about security.
Yeah.
But it should, shouldn't it? I mean, this is what politics should be about, and also the media should be about. The public can come right up to you, ministers wandering around in the streets. I think it's fantastic, and people come up to me and ask me questions as well, and that's, I mean, it's great, isn't it, for politicians, I'm sure, that they can get a real sense of what people are asking and what they care about.
And when people are coming up to you, it might be easier, because you know a little bit Swedish, right?
A little bit of Swedish.
Yeah, because...
Lite grann.
Why?
Because my mother's Swedish.
Oh, yeah?
But she left a very long time ago. Säffle.
Säffle.
Yes.
Nice.
Very near Oslo. Yeah, they call it the ghost town, I think, don't they?
All right, back to business. You're going to talk about Brexit this evening. Were you shocked just a couple of weeks ago?
I was quite. I was in Downing Street when the result came through. And yeah, I just, because the way we saw it, the media, you know, the Remain side had more facts to back them up. But there was so much emotion on the Leave side. And I think that's eventually what people voted for. It was a massive question to ask a country, you know, should you be part of the European Union? Because it affects everything, from the economy to security to, you know, what it means to be British. And I think that was a really hard thing for people to really analyse and get their heads around. And what the right did was bring it all down to immigration. So whilst David Cameron was trying to talk about the single market and what it meant for the economy, actually what the far right were doing was saying actually it's about immigration. The reason you haven't got a job is because of immigrants, and immigrants are taking benefits when they haven't put their efforts into the system already. And that's a simple argument to understand. Yeah. I'm not saying that's, you know, it's a very simplistic and people sort of fell for this, but I think that was, they were more in tune with the public because they were talking about immigration, and the Remain side weren't talking about immigration enough.
When I've been up here on the stage and talking about to some of the governments, a lot of them have said that David Cameron is very irresponsible for doing this, for taking like, what do you call it, homeland or domestic politics to make it to the whole Europe problem. What do you think about that?
Well, I think it was after the election, you know, what UKIP and the right, you know, those sorts of parties were talking about leaving the European Union and immigration being a bad thing for the UK at the current levels. And that informed the British election. There's always been a split in the Conservative Party of pro and anti-Europeans. But it became this very big issue during the general election. And the way David Cameron tried to deal with that was say, once and for all, let's deal with this European question and let the people decide whether we want to be in Europe or outside Europe. And the idea being that he could, you know, solve some of those differences in his own party. Probably in the end, it's just exacerbated those issues because people feel even more firmly entrenched on their view on whether the European Union is a good idea or not. So whether or not he's achieved what he wanted to isn't very clear, and ultimately he lost. So that's why he resigned. But he did, you know, he fell on his sword. He said he absolutely believed in his campaign, and so he had to go. And he's now leaving it to whoever follows behind him to clear up what is an absolute political mess, because you've got this situation where whatever political party you supported didn't really affect whether you Remain or Leave. So you have, you know, what is your politics now? But
what about this mess? Are you worried? I mean, for like yesterday or just 2 days ago, Nigel Farage from UKIP resigned. What do you say? Well,
he definitely started, you know, was a key figure in the debate, but he was never a key political figure because he doesn't have, you know, he's got one MP and the MP doesn't even like him. so he doesn't have a huge amount of power, but he's a big voice.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think him leaving the political system really makes much difference because he'll still have a big voice in some way. I don't know what he's planning, but he's not going to go away anywhere. So he's still going to be part of it. The much more important debate now is who takes over from David Cameron. So
who do you think?
Well, Theresa May is way ahead, but she was a Remain campaigner, not in a big way, but she's also been very strong on immigration, so it's likely to be her. Mm-hmm. Also, she's a very solid, dare I say, boring politician, but that's what Britain's looking for at the moment, someone that's very experienced,
and stable,
very in
maybe?
Control and stable, exactly. And Angela Leadsom is sort of snapping at her heels. She was very much on the Leave side, the argument being that perhaps the next Prime Minister should be a Leave campaigner because that's what Britain voted for. But because of all of this horrible politics, around Boris Johnson and the Leave campaign not actually being a solid grouping, there hasn't been a clear Leave campaigner that's floated to the top. Michael Gove is a very powerful politician, but he's seen as duplicitous now, stabbing Boris Johnson in the back. So he's lost that position. Angela Leadsom stepping in, but a lot of MPs saying she's not experienced enough to fulfill that role.
If we talk about the media, I mean, you're a big anchor for the CNN, the world-leading news, what do you think about the interest from the US, considering Brexit?
Well, I think they've been, quite baffled by the whole thing. There's some confusion about, what the European Union is. So it hasn't had a huge. We've done a lot on CNN US on the story, but it hasn't been a huge story.
But I mean,
Donald Trump happened to be over in the UK on the day the result came through, so he spoke about it. So that was a big story. But and it hit the financial markets. So certainly they're covering it, but it's a very complex subject for Brits to understand, let alone Americans. So I think that's always been the issue with the story.
And if you look at just the U.S. election a couple of months ago, we have Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton. What do you say? How is CNN? I mean, this is obviously going to get more viewers for you. How is your coverage on this?
Well, we're doing a lot on it. I mean, I think, if you want to be the main news network in a country, just as you'll be doing with the Swedish elections, you're going to be doing a lot of politics. Mm-hmm. And, America's a big country, so a lot of it does play out on the media and on TV. And Donald Trump understands TV, but so does Hillary Clinton. And we had Barack Obama last night very much sort of backing Hillary Clinton, and he's going to be potentially a game changer. This is someone who knows how to win elections, knows how to campaign, and he's thrown his support right behind her, and he's got this huge sort of, Hispanic vote, African American vote that I'm sure he'll be able to deliver to Hillary Clinton as well. Donald Trump, what is his campaign? What does he stand for? Hillary Clinton's been very consistent throughout. He's being less consistent, so he has to convince the public that he's got the experience it takes to run the country. And we're not yet there, are we? We're not yet into that general election territory yet. So we don't know how he's going to play with non-Republicans. Yeah.
We have the convention in just a couple of weeks ahead. We at Expressens and Expressen TV we have you as a partner. And how important is that for CNN to have partners all over the world?
Well, we want our material to go as widely as possible, so it's going to be great having it on Expressen. Mm-hmm. And hopefully we'll be able to sort of make it accessible as well, because it's a very long-winded process, the US election. Yeah. And we're now right into the weeds, and there's so much detail. So our job is really to explain why it matters to the world and what's happening. Mm-hmm. It is very complex, but ultimately it's a choice of two people. Yeah. And it's very personality-led. But I think a bit like Brexit showed, there's a reaction against the establishment, Westminster politics, there's a reaction against Washington politics as well. And that's what Donald Trump is riding on, and which Hillary Clinton, she's seen as part of the establishment of Washington. So she needs to show that she understands real issues in the real world, and so she's campaigning on that. And then he has to show he's never had a public office, so can he prove to Americans that he can stand up to that position?
And tomorrow morning you're going to be here again and talking more about the U.S. election. Max Foster from the CNN.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Great to be here.